Hello. So, a little bit of testing. I'm going to use Landslide in comparison to using Tornado, and I'm going to see how long it takes for me to kill the boss. In terms of the single target damage potential of Landslide, as opposed to the tornado spam that allows the tornado to spin around the boss and do like stacking damage. There is a couple of benefits to using Landslide over Tornado, though the benefits might not actually be that beneficial depending on how you see it, but it costs less to cast it. It's only 30 spirit in comparison to Tornado's 40. So if you can get reduction, the Landslide spam capability is a lot higher than Tornado. You don't need a specialized imprint or anything with Landslide, it just works by default. Tornado needs the imprint, obviously, for it to be usable. Which is it's weird to say out loud, but that's the way the Blizz have coded it for some strange, bizarre reason. I don't know. Conduit, if you say so. Oh, there's two. That's a positive, right? It's cheaper, you can spam it more. The problem comes in the form that because it's cheaper, it's actually less damage. A lot less damage than Tornado. You're talking like 20 to 30% less damage. So you're going to have to get a lot of spirit cost reduction to be able to get more spam out of Landslide for you to be able to justify its damage to cost ratio. That's going to have to be a separate build. I don't think I can really justify doing that on this particular build. But I'm still curious what its single target damage is going to be like. But in terms of just spammability and cost per damage ratio, Tornado is going to be better. Because you can have multiple tornadoes out at the same time. All of which, because of the imprint... Yeah, of course it does take up an imprint. But you end up having multiple tornadoes stacking the damage. So now you've got way more damage from the tornado. And they're all underneath the boss. And in, like if you're doing world bosses, all those tornadoes are literally right underneath the boss. So you're actually getting more damage for the amount of spirit, like way more damage. So theoretically Landslide could be better than Tornado, but you still need to invest a lot of resource reduction for you to be able to get the same amount of damage as just spamming tornadoes. So that's ideally what I'm testing here. What kind of damage will we see against a single target as opposed to, you know, dungeon clearing. But in terms of like, I don't know, like leveling up, Landslide is probably better than Tornado. And then when you get the imprint, swap over to Tornado. There's also another problem with Landslide that I didn't bring up in the previous video, is that there's a slight delay before it comes out and does the damage. So they appear in the ground and then they bang bang, bang bang. Well, because it does that, if the enemy is moving in any capacity, the requirement is clearly met. Any movement of the enemy just by a small amount or by a large amount, the tornado would give chase, but the landslide will just flat out miss. So if the enemy is moving backwards, or you used landslide but then use something like cyclone armor, which does like a pushback, if that was reversed, as you just saw, if the landslide came out before the cyclone armor, it is technically possible that you're going to you're just not going to see the damage applied because you've knocked them out of the radius of the attack. To me, that's problematic because you can shut down yourself. Don't forget, I've had to stop using Boulder because of that very reason. And if that's the case with Landslide, then you can actually screw over your own damage just by doing it that way, by accidentally knocking the enemy outside of the landslide's attack radius, which obviously is really bad for damage output. I'm gonna say this, I honestly think that the Druid knockback and whatever the fuck attacks were not tested properly by Blizzard. I don't know. It's probably just me, but at the same time, I don't think it is. Right, how fast can we clear this? That was relatively slow. That felt slow. I don't think there's a boss on this map, so I'm gonna have to take out the constructs. There might not be a boss. It might just be, you know, destroy the constructs and then the dungeon's done. I'll tell you this much. Using Landslide does feel weaker. This certainly does feel weaker. I am hitting for 10k damage on it though. 8k. Again, some of my attacks aren't landing because they're moving around. That's funny, to be honest. If the enemy moves, then Landslide doesn't work. Please let there be a boss. Slay Tomas. Okay, there is a boss. Where is Tomas? Oh, you're Tomas. You're the boss. That did feel slow. Okay, let's do another comparison now. So let's swap over back to Tornado, and we will do the same instance. So the way that we have to do it is that we have to leave game. When we leave game and then come back in, the instance is reset. They removed the ability to reset dungeons manually. I don't know why, but they did. Okay, so skill tree. We will now put Tornado back down there. By the way, that's a 7, and that's 5. I get +2 Earth when I have Fortify. So both the Tornado and the Landslide are both 7 out of 5, in case you're curious. But yeah, so Tornado. Let's do this. So we're now going to use Tornado as a comparison. There's a lot of single targets. So I think I counted like 5 or 6 landslides to kill one bone pile. So now let's try and find out what it's like with Tornado. Just look how many tornadoes there are already. I can already tell the clear speed is faster. I can already tell the clear speed is much faster. And the only thing that I have for Tornado is Tornado Seeks. I don't have like increased tornado damage or anything like that. So it's not like the Tornado's got the edge, you know what I mean? Clear speed is much faster. And they're still being attacked by the tornadoes while I'm running away. I mean, you could tell, right? You could tell that the clear speed is much faster. If you can't tell, then you need to start fucking playing ARPGs more. I don't think there's any contest. I'm pretty sure Tornado is making Landslide look like it's a shit move. Okay, here we go. Oh, that's fucking gone. And because the tornadoes are hitting other things as well, all the enemies just pretty much instantly died around the target. There's no contest. Tornado is just better. The clear speed is much better. Yeah, I'm not actually going to do this event. I want to get the boss done. You should be doing all those events because you get these odals things for doing them, which allows you to potentially get more legendaries through buying it at the shops. So yeah. There's no contest. Tornado just wins. So if you're curious, should I go Landslide or Tornado? I think this is fucking answering that question. Oh, I can't beat that yet because of this stupid thing. Because it's going to summon the boss and I'm going to instantly fucking kill the boss. It's nearly over. Okay, it's gone. Good. So get the tornadoes out. Kills all the enemies around it. And then we go for Tomas. That was a lot faster. And I've killed all the enemies at the same time. Yeah, there's no question about it. Landslide just cannot keep up with that kind of damage. Yeah, Landslide just doesn't hold a candle to Tornado. The amount of damage that it does, what is it, 2.6 to 3.2? Landslide does 5.7 to 7,000, and yet its clear speed is worse. It's great for single target, more spammable, but the enemy, if the enemy is moving or the enemy gets knocked back, especially with Cyclone Armor, Landslide will miss, and if it misses, your damage goes down massively. Don't forget, me spamming Tornado is also triggering Landslides. Me spamming Landslides is also triggering Tornado. But having more Tornadoes out from me casting them just clearly does more on-screen clear than to have the Tornadoes randomly casted by spamming Landslide. I mean, you saw, I was literally running through the dungeon. The Tornado clear speed was miles above anything that the Landslide could do. But the Landslide was critting for like over 10,000 damage per hit, which is really nice, whereas this was doing on average like 3 to 6,000 on the hits, with the crits and the vulnerability damage. This was going well above that. But at the same time, even though it is more spammable at this point, Tornado still wins just because of the fact that you've got like 4 or 5 tornadoes circling around, and that's doing like screen clear, whereas this is only hitting the targets that are actually like directly in front of you. So Landslide is probably fantastic if you could get the spirit cost down by like 10 points. If you can get this to be like spirit cost of 15 to 20, yeah, you could probably justify it. Just because the spammage would be insane. But just having the default 40 spirit versus 30 spirit, Tornado still wins, just hands down. Spirit cost reduction is probably something I should look into. I'm not really thinking of doing that myself just yet. I mean, yeah, look, 7 out of 5, 7 out of 5. Because my fortify is not going down for some reason. Either way, I think I'll leave that up to you. You're gonna have to give me the feedback on that. If you can get your particular build to get spirit cost reductions, and then spam this, let me know. Let me know what that kind of outcome will be. because obviously the cheaper Landslide becomes, the increased potential of the damage output will be in its favor. So you won't need to have full screen clears because of the cheap spam cost. You could literally just click this all over the fucking place and it'll be just as good as Tornado, because of how cheap it will be. But that's a lot of spirit cost reduction. You're looking at over 30% spirit cost reduction, for you to just remove 10 points of spirit. That's not that easy to do, to get that much reduction. And I personally would favor other things like vulnerability damage or crit strike or lucky hit over spirit cost reduction. I was using the when you strike an immobilized or stunned enemy with Landslide, you get an additional pillar. I wasn't using this that does the extra crit critical strike damage, 40%, though that is fantastic. As you saw, it still has the ability to fail to hit. If the enemy is actually moving, the time it takes for the Landslide to come out to hit, you know. But another problem is that it says here, crush enemies between two pillars. Now, that damage is shared across those pillars, and if one pillar hits but the other one misses, you're not doing the damage that you think you're doing. So the extra critical strike damage, though it will feel good, you could still miss, and it will actually use the terror mode even though it's missed. So I don't personally think that Primal Landslide is worth getting unless it's a world boss with a much bigger target to hit. So what I personally would do is, if I'm gonna beef up Landslide for world bosses, I would use the terror mode. But if I'm clearing dungeons, I want to make sure that my Landslide is actually landing those hits. So getting an additional pillar helps those hits to actually happen. But as you saw, I was still missing. There was a lot of hits that was missing, and things like Cyclone Armor was causing me to miss. So you can't use Cyclone Armor, which does a pushback effect, if you're going to use Landslide. So you're going to have to do a custom build for that. I can clearly tell that Tornado just wins, hands down, in terms of clear speed, single target damage. Landslide didn't hold a fucking candle to Tornado. But it is potentially better if, and only if, you make sure that your character does no knockback whatsoever, and you concentrate on getting the additional things, the spirit cost reduction, as well as the Landslide aspect that you could apply to a legendary. I think it's actually very important to get that imprint, because it, again, which is what I've just said, it applies an additional pillar. It increases its base damage and applies an additional pillar. And that additional pillar makes a huge difference when it comes to landing hits. So will I be using Landslide? Yes, but only if I get the additional pillar from the aspect, and only using it on world bosses, because the crit strike potential is astronomically higher than Tornado, because you can actually get more damage out of it per hit, especially if you get that spirit cost reduction. But I'm not going to go out of my way to do that. I'm just going to stick with Tornado. I think Tornado is still, in terms of these two by default, these two are completely different moves, and they need completely different builds. I'm clearly a Tornado build. I'm not a Landslide build, so I'm not going to slag off Landslide. but I will say that this has the potential to be better than Tornado if you build it to be better. Which is good, because it means that build diversity is actually a thing for Druid. That you can actually go Landslide build, you can actually go Tornado build. That you can't just like drag one of these onto your fucking hotbar and be done with it. If you actually put time, energy and effort, both of these are separate builds. And I love that. I love build design. But for me, I'm just using Landslide on the Tornado trigger with the extra pillar. Just because it just feels good. Yeah, I'm going to stick with Tornado. That's my conclusion to this video. It's just miles better, especially at the clear speed. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've learned just a little bit extra when it comes to should I go Landslide or Tornado. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think, and yeah, see you in the next video, which might actually be a world boss using Landslide. Bye bye.